In this video, I want to share with you my minimalist mirrorless photography setup for micro weddings. "2020 made a big impact on a lot of things, including the wedding industry. We all had to adjust because of closures and restrictions. Smaller micro weddings got more popular. And as a photographer and videographer, I've also had to make some adjustments with the way I approach these smaller weddings. Not only have weddings been smaller in size, I've also noticed the coverage for these smaller weddings have been shorter as well. The challenge is that I still need to capture the same shots that I normally get at my larger pre-2020 weddings. So my approach is simple. I want my setup to be efficient and lightweight, but I still need to be ready for anything that comes my way. I want to be able to shoot a variety of images and be ready to shoot in low light situations. Being efficient means not having to mess around with changing lenses or lugging around additional gear that I won't end up using. That's why I came up with my minimalist mirrorless setup. You might think that it's crazy to go into a wedding with a minimal setup like this, but first let me do a gear loadout, then near the end of this video I'll share my thoughts on how this type of setup is ideal for these smaller weddings. The main part of this setup is my two cameras. I shoot with two Sony A9 Mark IIs, each with different lenses. The first one is the Sony 24 f1.4 G Master. That's my wide angle lens. It's great for capturing the context of the moment. It's surprisingly awesome with close detail shots, and it's great in low light situations. On the second camera, I have the Sony 85mm f1.4 G Master, and that's my close-up lens. It's great for portraits, and the bokeh is beautiful. It lets me capture moments up close without being physically near them. So I carry both of these cameras using the leather holster from HOLDFAST called the MONEYMAKER. At first, it takes some time to get used to, but after using it a few times, it's very easy to attach and detach the cameras. When you put the cameras on the holster, just make sure to give it a nice tug to confirm that you've completely locked the camera to the holster. The MONEYMAKER comes with D-rings that screw into the bottom of the camera, but I've been using these quick release plates from Andover that I got online. They have a latch that flips out and hides away when you don't need it, so I use that to attach the camera to the holster. But they also are compatible with any Swiss archetype tripod head. Since I'm trying to go for a minimal setup, I don't want to carry any unnecessary items. I have a couple of pieces of gear that I need to take with me, starting with a couple of extra batteries just in case, and this hard case from Pelican that holds my memory cards. I tuck these away in my pocket so I don't have to carry a bag. The last thing I want to talk about is lighting. For the most part, I try to shoot with natural and available light, but there are times when I absolutely need additional lighting. For these situations, I carry with me an LED light from Aputure called the AMARAN F1. The cool thing about this light is that it's small and lightweight, plus it's fairly inexpensive. I have two of these mounted on light stands. One comes with me to the venue, and the other is a backup that I keep in my car. Another great thing about this light is that it's dimmable and it's bicolor, so I can adjust the power and the color temperature to match my ambient light. You power it by using Sony MPF batteries that you can buy anywhere, and they usually last me the entire day with no problem. For the light stands, I use the MANFROTTO NANO stand. They're lightweight and they extend up to almost 7 feet, and it folds down neatly into a tiny package. On a side note, I always carry a couple of sandbags in my trunk. I put those on my light stands whenever I put them near the dance floor. You know how that goes. So that's the complete setup that I bring to a micro wedding. Now you might think that's a little crazy to bring such a small amount of gear to a wedding, but here's my philosophy. So I still need to get all the shots that I usually get from a larger wedding, but I have less time than normal. I need to set the scene with the environment shots and the detail shots, then document the prep time. Maybe there's a first look, and after that, portraits. Then there's photos of the guests and of course the ceremony. Then more portraits and the reception. So it's pretty much non-stop. a lot of times my coverage is shorter than normal, so the less amount of gear I have, the less time I waste lugging stuff around. Also, I feel like I get more creative when I have less choices to make, you know what I mean? If I only have 2 lenses, my wide and my close-up, I spend less time thinking about gear and more time getting creative with my shots. I find that the 24mm is wide enough for anything, and especially with smaller groups, and the 85mm is long enough too, even during the ceremony. If I need to get a tighter shot, I just move in. With these smaller weddings, it's not as distracting when I get closer to the vows, since it's a pretty intimate setting anyways. It's the same thing with the lighting. I find myself shooting with natural lighting for a big part of the day. And I really only use my lights when the sun goes down. Since I'm using continuous lights, basically what I see is what I get. So that's my complete minimalist mirrorless setup for micro weddings. I hope this gear breakdown was helpful, and if you have any questions, leave it on the comments below. Subscribe if you want to see more videos about mirrorless photography. I wish you all the best on this upcoming wedding season, and see you in the next video. Peace.